Welcome back to the Teacher's AI Cafe. I'm Kane, a teacher and a parent who wants AI to give us back our time. I share practical classroom-tested AI strategies to cut down your workload, improve your feedback and reduce stress so you can get your evenings back and be more present with your friends and family. No jargon, just actionable steps. Grab your mug. Now let's get going. Welcome back to this week's tech update for educators in AI. Today's the 20th of July is when this episode is actually going out, or close to it, depending where you are in the world. So what's been happening in the last week? Let's start with Google. Notebook LM has officially been renamed Gemini Notebook. Name change itself isn't really that important, but I guess it brings it more under the Gemini sort of name brand within Google. And I guess what really matters is what Google's has added underneath it. So eligible notebooks now receive access to secure cloud computer. This allows Gemini Notebook to write and execute code using the sources contained inside the notebook. So it's not your whole machine, say something like Claude Code or Codex. Until now, most teachers probably just have thought of a Notebook LM as a way to upload readings, turn them into summaries, podcast videos, and so forth. These tools remain, including the new short explain cinematic video overviews. What this new capability means is Notebook can also conduct deeper data analysis, produce structured outputs such as charts and spreadsheets. Imagine uploading several different classes and asking the Notebook to identify common misconceptions, compare performance across questions, and create a chart for a faculty meeting. Alternatively, a history teacher could upload a collection of census data and primary source and ask Notebook to analyse the patterns before creating an infographic or video explanation you can use in your class. So this is a bit of a definite or significant shift. So it's becoming less of a clever summariser, more of a source-grounded research sort of workspace. Google is also connecting notebooks more closely with the Gemini app itself, so sources notebooks can sync across the two products. And Google says notebooks will eventually appear with an AI mode in search. I guess the limits at the moment of it simply is it's initially appearing on the adult, personal and paid accounts versions. School managed access will depend on the Google education rollout and, of course, your local settings. The biggest teacher-specific announcement comes this week from Anthropic. They've launched Claude for Teachers, verified K-12 teachers in the US, always. Us outside the US always seem to miss out. Receive free premium access for a year, including teaching skills, curriculum connections, and standards-aligned resources. Obviously, I don't have access to this to see what it's about. Interesting part of Claude for Teachers has been designed around recognisable classroom work. It will help create lessons, differentiate materials, analyse class data, and schedule repeated tasks. Anthropic gives us an example of asking Claude to review exit tickets each afternoon and use personal results to adapt the next day's lesson. So obviously you'd be building Claude and getting the students into the information into that. It sounds useful, but obviously raises a couple of important issues. Exit tickets not merely a collection of right and wrong answers. A teacher may notice an unusual phrase, hesitant response, misconceptions connected to something that's happened during the lesson. AI can assist with pattern recognition, but the teacher still needs to understand your classroom context. And for Anthropic, this is important, says data submitted through Claude for Teachers will not be used for its models, or training its models, and introduced education-specific privacy protection. So I'll have a look for that coming out on my version. The initial free access is limited to American teachers, but the broad direction matters for us overseas, or those international. AI companies are beginning to compete directly for teachers, as in wanting a business, not just for the students or business. And I think it also goes back to the idea, if you actually get the teachers using it, they tend to, becomes evident to the students, and the students actually think that's the best option, particularly in schools which allow you to use AI. So the teacher's using Claude, okay, we're all going to use Claude, and you develop that habit or that knowledge within one specific app. How do you think Microsoft pretty much gives away Office, at least here in Australia, to every member of a family when they go to the public school? So use it at home, you're going to use it when you recommend you go to business. Anyway. Okay, what's ChatGPT done? Basically now you can now search across conversations, projects, images, upload documents from one location. And I've noticed this when I've been using it, the search is much, much better. For anyone who has created hundreds of lesson plan resources, ChatGPT, or just lots of individual chats, which I've got a lot of those before projects came along, There used to be just a huge list of every new chat I started, so at least I can go back and find some things. The desktop app also provides a clear distinction between ordinary chat and longer running work mode. Cloud work conversations can continue across desktop, web and mobile. Projects now appear directly in the desktop app. OpenAI also has increased the custom instruction limit for education professional users from 1,500 to 5,000 characters. So this gives a lot more room to describe their preferred lesson structure, curriculum, literacy levels, and so on. So you've got 5,000 characters now instead of 1,500. What has SpaceX AI done for, I don't know, hopefully you didn't buy any shares at the top there. They're back down below their release price now that the initial rush and people jumping on board to try and make a quick buck have moved on. So they released Grok 4.5 and introduced automations. Users can describe a recurring job, relevant services, and ask Grok to run it on a schedule or when the event occurs, such as arrival of an email. A teacher might ask this to prepare something like a weekly digest of curriculum updates, collect recent articles. Features obviously useful in principle. All through schools need to decide whether Grok meets their privacy, safety and content requirements. But I think since SpaceX seems to think that the Grok that's AI is actually its core money generator, I imagine we're going to see a lot more in the near future. Microsoft Visual Studio update gives another clue about where systems are heading. GitHub Copilot now includes specialist skills created by Microsoft.NET, Azure Teams, get that. Skill, which is essentially for usable set of instructions, knowledge, and so on, is move away from repeatedly writing long prompts. Like I said, is users activated a tested workflow. There you go. Visual Studio, what's relevant? Well, some schools definitely use that in terms of their programming environment for their computer science students. Finally, we've got an interesting story this week. We do. From the School District of New York is introducing a life-size humanoid assistant named Sally into the senior coding and robotics classes. I wonder if they'll try to hack it. Sally has a human-like face, movable hands, and a local accent, although she can't actually walk. I guess this is just going to stand there in the middle of the classroom or something. That'd be a bit weird. The district says Sally operates offline, so it does not record students. It's not intended to replace teachers. It's certainly memorable, but it raises the question, why does it need a human appearance in the first place? What does it actually add to us? And what about the cost of putting in any humanoid robot? If it doesn't move, is it just a mannequin with AI built into it? Perhaps it makes the technology more engaging, but the kids are probably using it anyway. Perhaps it encourages students to attribute understanding, empathy, and authority to a machine does not really possess those qualities. Authority to machine. No, we don't want to go down that line, do we? But who knows? Interesting to see what the feedback was. I've spoken previously about the failed AI attempt in California. So I wonder if a bureaucrat or an actual educational people came up with this idea, or this is something pitched and developed by ed-tech companies saying, this has been fantastic in your class, just give us X amount of money and we can put it in every one. And it's not really there, driven by teachers' use. Anyway, we'll see what comes out of it. So that's all the details that we actually got for this week. Tune in for Wednesday's episode. Got any questions, do drop me an email or join the Facebook group. And I've seen a few more people have joined the mailing list. I'll start getting regular emails out. When, like I said, if you join the mailing list, as I create the worksheets that go along with the talks, the information, the instructions, the prompts, I'll email them out through there. It's a much easier way of distributing it. Anyway, till then, look after yourself, take care, and keep up the good work.